What's good, guys? So today I want to talk about one very particular card that I think is very underrated. Nobody's really talking about it, and I just think it just should be in almost every main deck or side deck, and it's just so freaking good. That card is Forbidden Chalice. What does Forbidden Chalice do? Why am I talking about this card that came out 10 years ago? It's a very simple effect. Target one face-up monster on the field until the end of this turn. That target gains 400 attack, but its effects are negated. So why is this card so good? Why is this card better than Infinite Impermanence? Because Impermanence kind of does the same thing, and I've talked about how Impermanence is really bad. Well, I don't think Impermanence and this card is the same thing because this card is a quick play that doesn't have the clause where you have to use it when you have no cards on the field. So I'm gonna go through all the big three decks, and I'm gonna talk about which cards you guys can hit with this card. So the first being Winda. We already know how crazy Winda is. When Winda's on the field, you can only special summon once. Some decks literally just crumble to that, and there's no main deck outs to in a few decks, such as Salamangreat. They don't have a main deck out. And same thing with Spiral. Spiral specifically has no main deck out. They have to play really weird things. Same thing with Salamangreat. They have to play weird things, and a lot of decks just don't have an out to this because it's a crazy card that can't be destroyed by card effects. But Chalice gives you an out to this card, which is I think insane. Another card, Construct. So in Shaddolls, they like to fuse on the opponent's turn. So you'll have to deal with Winda or Construct, either or during the opponent during your own turn when you're trying to play into the field. And when they that's why Impermanence just doesn't do anything because it just stays in your hand. You start playing your cards, and then Impermanence is dead, and you have to wait a turn to actually negate something. But Chalice, you could just chain to it, either negate his effect to send, and in Construct might be sending Ariel or something to banish 3 cards from your graveyard, so you could stop that, or you can stop Winda and the Floodgate effect of Winda. So I think against Shaddolls, it's crazy. It's really good. It stops like their main win condition is just stunning you with Winda, and if you can just hit this with Chalice, I think it's so broken. And then in Dinosaurs, Soul Eating Oviraptor is a card. I want to talk about just generically, like all these normal summon trigger effects. Every deck has like normal summon something, it triggers an effect. So I think Chalice, when you go first, you could just set it, and it essentially is like a weaker Solemn Strike, but it has the versatility of it being really good going first or second. So I think that's really crazy. So you could hit Soul Eating Oviraptor or another card, True King of all Calamities. Whenever dinosaurs are forced to go first, they'll always try to turbo out into this, and this card you just can't play around it. They're gonna standby phase, activate the effect, all of your monster effects are done for the turn. But Chalice, you could just chain to it, and I think like having a main deck out to True King of all Calamities, or even in the side, I think that's very versatile. And the same goes for this card, Abyss Dweller. Dinos can make it, and Shaddolls can make it, and even Spiral can make it with 2/4s. Dweller just ends decks. I like this card. I think it's ban worthy. I hate Dweller so much, but Dweller just prevents all graveyard effects. And Shaddolls right now, Shaddolls, Dinosaurs, and Spirals all have graveyard effects such as Planner and stuff triggering. And having a chance when Dweller activates to chain the Chalice is just fucking insane. Having it out to Dweller is just so nice. I just think Chalice is just so versatile. That's what's so good about it. I don't think it's like the most broken card. It like standalone in a vacuum. It's not, but it's just so versatile in a format where like there's just so many decks. There's so like I'm only talking about the 3-4 main meta decks, but there's so many rogue decks. Without a doubt, if you go into a tournament, you're going to see at least 3-4 rounds out of your 8-9 rounds of Swiss with like against rogue decks. So be prepared, and I just think Chalice is like so good versus everything that I think it's warranted in the side deck or main deck. And then in Spiral, they play Scrap Recycler, so that's a card that you can hit when you're going first, like a card that's like I talked about, normal summon trigger effect. So that's good. But another card, Appaloosa, you have a chance to take care of a 3-4 negate Appaloosa, and that's just freaking insane. They wasted so many materials onto this, and if you just have one spell card that can turn this off, I think that's nuts. And the final card, the Trigate Wizard. Most of the time they'll have Appaloosa with Trigate Wizard, but you can use a Chalice, and one of these cards has to negate the Chalice. So I think that's fine. I think Chalice has a place in the format right now. There's so many cards: Winda, Construct, Oviraptor, Calamities, Dweller, Recycler, Bow of the Goddess, and Trigate Wizard. I could have went on and on, but I just wanted to go over the main decks and what the outs were. and how like Chalice is just so good versus these decks. I really do think Chalice is very underrated. I think more decks should look into playing this card at 2 to 3 copies in their main deck or side deck. If you don't have an out to window, please try this card. Guys, let me know what you guys think about this underrated card that I went over. I'm gonna keep doing more videos like this because there's a bunch of cards that I want to talk about that just are going under the radar that are so good with with all these new decks in the format. I think you really do need versatile cards such as Forbidden Chalice. So subscribe, stay tuned.